Hey, it's Nikki, and I'm here again to talk about paranormal. And I think this is like my third video. Ugh, I'm like really bad with this. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about my first poltergeist. Uh, if anyone doesn't know what a poltergeist is, it's like an entity that can move things. It could physically move things. And I think it could potentially hurt you, but I'm not sure. But they just do it just to get a rise out of somebody. Like, they don't do it just to be like, oh, get out of my house. Like, they just do it like, oh, notice me and like, move everything. And so, I think I was about 12, 13, and I was having a sleepover at my friend's house. And the scary part is, as I live like down the street from like where this house is, like not down the street, but it's like a few blocks away, and it's still every time I drive past it, like I remember everything that happened. Like this is a memory that's gonna like be with me for the rest of my life. But anyway, so we were having a sleepover, and it was about like we were watching movies, and like we couldn't find anything, so we went on demand to find like a free movie, like you could do now. So my new T-shirt. Anyway, so we go on like on demand, and accidentally, like when she exited out, like it went to like this weird adult film, and it was like so we quickly turned the thing on mute, and we try to find like another channel, but like oh my god, like we were so like, oh, what should we do? And everyone's asleep, and her sister's like having doing the naughty in the other room, and her mom's asleep, her brother is downstairs asleep with his girlfriend, and her aunt or grandma is asleep too. So everyone's asleep except for me and her right now. And we're in the living room, and the living room is like, see if I could do this right. Living room's like right here, and if you walk here, there's the kitchen. So we're like right here in the middle of the living room, and we started hearing something like, oh, it was the garbage can lid. Like how like they have the big round ones that flip around and stuff. So that flew across the room, clear across the room, and like the door didn't open that goes to the basement where her brother would be. So we're like, what just happened? And then we're like, like we got kind of freaked out. So after that happened, we sat back down, and we're just like, okay, nothing happened, we'll just like pretend like it never happened. And then more stuff started like what is it, pots and pans started like clinking together, and then we're just like, okay, maybe it's like her brother. So we go like peek around the corner, and then everything stopped, and then her brother was not there. The door wasn't open. It didn't even look like it was open or anything. The back door was locked. So we're just like, what's going on? So we quickly run back into the living room because we're freaking out, and like we're like terrified. But once again, we play like a funny video or something like that on the TV. So then we're just like, okay, nothing happened. We're fine. But then her aunt or grandma came out and was like, what are you guys doing in the kitchen? We're like, we're not doing anything. Like, stop messing around with the pots and pans. We're like, oh god, so she could hear it too. So it wasn't just us. So, um, what is it? So we go into or we're sitting in the living room on the couch, and we could get like a corner, like we could kind of see the kitchen, and it was just like you see the fridge, the cabinet above the fridge, and then like, kind of like it was an L-shaped kitchen. And so all you saw was like the fridge and a little bit of the counters. And then we didn't like a few minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes passed by, and then stuff started happening again. And then we looked back in there, and no one was there. But then that's when it started getting bad, when we started actually like having a reaction to it, because like it didn't have a reaction before, and we were just like, oh, it's nothing. But then we were like, oh my god, something's happening. That's when it started getting bad. So it was like pots and like seriously, I was standing in the doorway, and I saw everything move. Like pots and pans were shaking. This like cup, like they used to have a cup that would dry like the silverware and stuff in there. It was shaking like this. Hold on, I'll get like my little remote. It was like shaking like this. It was on the ground. It was shaking like this, lifted up, and then fell like this, and everything shot out of it. Like not shot out, like like it forcefully fell out, but like it fell, and then like stuff like spilled out of it. And I was like, And I was so terrified I couldn't move, and I was just like looking at everything that was going on in there. Like even like bags were like shaking and moving, and like pots and pans are like shaking, and then the silverware was like moving around, and then even like this the yellow pages, like back in the day, yellow pages that are like yay thick, it even like flung across the room too. And I was like sitting there staring and looking at this. I was just like in amazement, like what am I really looking at? Like is this fake? Like I even like try to look at her brother's like room. Like it happened like 10 seconds though, so don't like I wasn't like standing here for like 20 minutes watching stuff happen. Like this is like all in 10 seconds. And like I even peeked over to her brother's room to see like if her brother's doing anything, and her brother's room was completely locked. And then after um what is it, after one of the big pots like started moving, that's when I ran with my friend to her sister's room, and we're like, oh my god. Our sister was like had the door open after all her, yeah, anyway, so we run to her sister's room, and we're like, oh my god, Jenny, get up, like come up, we gotta show you this. And then when she was like, what, like she's like half asleep, and she's like, what are you guys talking about? And like, look at everything move. And then like she come into the kitchen and she's like, what did you guys do in here? And we're like, we didn't do anything, like it like seriously, I don't know what happened. And then she's like, god, you guys gotta clean this up tomorrow. And she was all pissy, and she didn't believe that like we didn't do anything. She thought like we were joking around with her, but we weren't. So she goes back into her room, and then like my friend and I, Randy, like are freaking out. So we go like shoulder to shoulder, like like that, and like we walk to the archway to the kitchen, from the living room to the kitchen, and we were like about to peek around the corner, like we're like about a foot away from the corner, and then like we're about to peek by around it, and then we saw this shadow figure just like stand there, and then it moved like this, like really slow, and then like you could see like its head like move to see at us. It was like and then we ran like into her sister's room yet again, and then we found out like 10 minutes after that her boyfriend came in the house from the back way from the kitchen, and we're like, were you there like 10 minutes ago? He's like, no, I just got in. And we're like seriously, what happened? And it couldn't have been her brother, because her brother's kind of like a heavy set like man, not trying to be rude, but like this guy was like scrawny, like the figure we saw was really skinny, and we're like freaking out about it. And like I have never been so terrified in my life. Like I seriously thought like this is like gonna kill me in some way, like I'm gonna walk in there. Like I even like my brave self back then when I was a kid like stepped in there, like stepped in there for like 2 seconds, and I was like in wonder, like looking around at me, like what's going on. Like the plastic bags were moving, like silverware, pots and pans, cups, anything you could think of that's in a kitchen was moving, except for like cabinets. Nothing like cabinet like was moving. It's just like everything that was out by itself. And it was just the most weirdest, scariest, terrifying thing that ever happened to me. And it never had, like when I came back to her house, like it never happened ever again. Like because when I did sleep over like last like few times, like nothing happened, because like the whole family was there. And it was just like, why that day out of all days did that thing have to be in there? And I never researched anything about that house. I don't want to, because I don't want to figure out like, oh my god, it was like a mass murder or something like that. And like I don't want to, I don't want to. So that's my poltergeist experience. And if anyone, well, I found I have views, so go me. But if anything scary has ever happened with you poltergeist, comment down below. I'd like to hear what happened to you, so I'm not the only crazy person that's ever happened this to, because that was, my like heart like dropped into my like stomach. My like eyes are like like shocked and freaked out, like, oh my god, this is seriously happening. And then like I got so cold. It wasn't cold like where I could see my breath. I just got cold, and I was just like, oh my god. So yeah, yeah, comment down below if this ever happened to anybody else, because I would really like to not be the only person that's ever happened to. Because every time I talk to people about poltergeist, no one believes me. Like everyone thinks like, oh, it's just the wind. Wind cannot move a cast iron freaking skillet. So it was definitely not wind. It was definitely not a prank. There was nothing going on. It was just seriously that. But yeah, thanks for watching.